Why you gotta throw me like that, YouTube? Why? I'm live. Let's. Okay, we're live. All right, we are live at Hollywoke Hot Take Live, where we do it live. Oh, hold on. Get the chat correct. Okay, everything's correct, I think. So we're good. We are good, and we are live. Hollywoke Hot Take Live. And it's good to be back. Good to be back. The Eagles won tonight. For those of you following sports ball, I don't really follow it, but I have many people close to me who do, and they are very happy this evening. The Eagles have won, and they are going to the Super Bowl. So that's going to be nice. What did I do this week? What did I do? Oh, I went to the Jackson Public Library. Arden is here. Hello. Hello, Arden. The Jackson Public Library in Jackson, New Jersey. That was a lot of fun. They are celebrating their 100th anniversary. So they are actually having a raffle for all the locals. So you can, if you're a local, you can go into the Jackson Public Library, fill out a thing, you can win a prize. Doesn't cost you anything. Arden says, Brotherhood of the Wolf is one of my favorite movies made outside of Hollywood. It's not bad. I liked it. I actually didn't like it while I was watching it because it's so kind of long. So I, as the movie progressed, I liked it more and more. And then by the time it was over, I did kind of like it. And then after I read more about it and realized the beginning part that I sort of missed, I was like, yeah, I like this movie. I just wish it had been a little tighter. It's just a little too long, but it really sets up a really nice world, and would have loved to have seen a sequel to that. Think it would have been a fun movie to have a couple of movies with these characters. Ardent, it does have very odd pacing, and some of the fight scenes are now very dated. Yeah, but I liked it. I mean, I love the fight scenes. The fight scenes are the best part of the movie. You're right about the pacing, though. The pacing is really, like, they have that fight scene in the beginning, and you're like, oh, yeah, this movie's going to kick ass and take names. And then it kind of grinds to a halt, and, you know, the main character is supposed to be looking for this wolf, and he kind of gets distracted for a good half hour, I'll say. For a good half hour, he's like, oh, I'm French. I'm going to pursue a woman. And you're just like, buddy, you're supposed to be doing your job for the king, and you're just off chasing skirts. But it eventually gets back on track, and eventually they go after the wolf. And eventually we get to see this crazy scene where they try to capture it. But, you know, some of the wind-up is like, whew. And that's what I said to my girlfriend, like, I kind of wasn't paying attention in the beginning. And you see JEC is here. Hi, hi, hi. So in the beginning of Brotherhood of the Wolf, you see the Marquis, and he's telling the story in flashback, but you don't realize who he is at first. And there's so many guys with, you know, white hair. Like, he just kind of blends in, and I didn't realize, oh wait, he was in the beginning. And then when they flash back to him at the end, I was like, oh yeah. Ardent says hello, JEC. So that's about all I did this week. I went to the Jackson Library. Oh, I did get a haircut and took Joan to the vet. And I take Joan to the vet, and they're like, oh yeah, you got to get a poop sample. You got to come back. I'm like, so not only do I have to pick up my dog's poop and put it in a jar, I have to drive it back here to you. You see anything wrong with this picture? LeMay is here. Hi. Hi. I mean, this time of year, I do have some time to do that, but it's kind of annoying. I have to drive all the way to the vet to give him poop. But I guess I'll be doing that sometime this week. Vet. to check Joan's poop. Just come over here. You can check it wherever it is. JC, I saw Complete Unknown. It's pretty good. Interesting. I can't say I thought it looked bad, but my worry about a biopic is, number one, it's completely inaccurate. But number two, a movie like that will be too long. But that's one. You're a harsh critic, JEC. So that's a point in its favor. But yeah, that was about it for me this week. I got some stuff on the horizon. Doing Hamilton Center tomorrow. That's a Monday event for me, a rare Monday event at 7 p.m. So we'll see you there, Hamilton. And then nothing until February. I got to order some more books, probably. All right. What else we need to cover? JEC. It's like 2 hours, 20 minutes. Music was well done. If you like Bob Dylan, you'll probably like it. I kind of like two Bob Dylan songs, so can't really say I'm a Bob Dylan fan. But I do prefer his older stuff where he wasn't like me, you know. You could understand him. But yeah, that feels like a streamer for me. Everything these days feels like a streaming movie, you know. It's like your movie has to be like super awesome for me to want to go to a theater now. I mean, I'm not going to go into it again. I've talked about the theater experience. It's so effed up now. But, you know, and if the movie's 2 hours and 20 minutes, I definitely don't want to sit in a theater for that. You know, me and the girlfriend wanted to go see The Brutalist. And The Brutalist, I'm looking for a theater. I'm looking and looking. Can't find a theater. And I guess I must have forgot. I think I knew this before, but I forgot. The Brutalist is 3 hours and 35 minutes. That's not a movie. That is a day. I cannot spend that long in a movie theater. I mean, that has to have an intermission, right? I mean, there's no way you could sit through a movie that long and be entertained. By the end of that, it would just be like you're melting off the chair. Get me the hell out of there. JC, it covers his transition from folk music into more 60s rock music. Okay. So yeah, The Brutalist just, and it's the reason I can't find it in a local theater. I mean, a lot of theaters, you know, they play long movies these days. They ain't gonna play one that long, I'll tell you right now. JC, I had a date. She didn't like the scary movies, so Nosferatu was out. So I countered with Bob Dylan. Yeah, for a date movie, I would imagine A Complete Unknown is a good date movie. There's a little romance in that one too. Like, not a lot. It's not the focus, so you're not going to be bored. But yeah, so you know, because it's got his girl in it. I don't know much about Bob Dylan. I forget who he shacked up with back in the day. But yeah, that good move. Not a lot of movies to see. Not a lot of movies. About the only other one, you know, I tried to figure out another movie we could see. Honora would be my next pick. That's a romance movie, but it looks like a good romance movie, or a very tolerable one, I'll say. I think there was maybe one other. But speaking of movies and movies that are out, let's take a look at the list on the numbers. See what happened this week. Well, number one is Flight Risk. This is the bald, Mark Wahlberg movie, which I say kudos to him for changing up his look. JC, I wouldn't say it's romantic. Dylan cheated on his girlfriend, who was on the cover of his album a lot. Ooh, no, don't cheat. Bad. Cheating's bad. But if you're a rock star, you kind of almost get a pass. Yeah, so I think it was a good idea for Marky Mark to shave part of his head to be bald and Flight Risk it. It changes up his look. I mean, and he's a bad guy, so he sort of uglied himself up for it. I thought that was kind of cool. A lot of other actors don't do it. 12 million it opened with. That's okay. It doesn't look like a particularly expensive movie. I think Topher Grace is in it too. Topher Grace, I think, plays the prisoner being transported, and Marky Mark plays the pilot slash assassin who's trying to kill him. It's weird that he's on the poster because he is the bad guy in the movie. It's my understanding. And look at the sub headline: Flight risk. Y'all need a pilot? It's weird, isn't it? It's weird to focus on him and not the protagonist. I don't think he's the protagonist. I don't think we're going to be following a hitman, but you never know. Number 2, dropping from 1, is Mufasa, the Lion King, 8.7 million. I hope this is the end of these movies, but at 626 million, probably won't be. I mean, you can't blame Disney if they're making money on this. You really can't. I got to think that made some money. So I just find them totally dead. I mean, like, as compared to the animated movies, you look at the animated stuff and there's such a great sort of feeling with the characters, and Mufasa, I get nothing. I get like absolutely nothing. It's like, it's really true that animals, they kind of have dead eyes. They don't, most of them, a few exceptions, but most of them don't have that expressiveness that you can put in an animated movie. So, just doesn't work. Too realistic. Number 3, dropping from 2, One of Them Days, dropping by 32%. That's not a bad drop. 8 million. JC, I managed to dodge sitting through Mufasa because it didn't start for another hour when we got into the theater. Yeah, that's not a solid date movie. It's not going to be it's not. I don't think it's a movie that both can enjoy. Maybe if your date has kids, then maybe, and you had to bring the kids along for some reason, but no, not a good date movie. One of Them Days, this movie didn't look awful. It just looks like a female version of Friday. So 8 million or 25 million in its second week, but 8 million this week. Production budget's 14 million. So this is money. This is money. I mean, I wouldn't say it looked hilarious, but it looked kind of watchable. And it only dropped 32%, so LeMay, they approved in the color design, but it was not as good as the original. Okay. Indie Phantom is here. Flight Risk will be a streaming title for me. Hello to all. Hello. LeMay, only kids seem to like it. Mufasa, yeah. But the thing is, that's, again, money in the bank. This is what Disney used to do, is just make kids movies all day long, and everybody could take their kids there. Now it's like, I don't know, they're kind of going back to that, but they've sort of hurt their brand so badly. They've crippled themselves in that area now. It used to be they were the only game in town, really. And you didn't even have to check with Disney. Now it's like, I don't know, what's in this one? Indie Phantom, One of Them Days, I might see it. Mufasa looks balls. LeMay, improved, sorry. Oh. They improved in the color design, but it's not as good as the original. Oh, okay. For Mufasa, I think you're talking about. Yeah, it just, it's too realistic. Too realistic. Too many, your eyes can't process it all. And the nice thing about cartoons and comic books is that it focuses if you have nicely illustrated, clean illustrations, it focuses your attention on the right thing. So as a storyteller, working with your artist, you can really focus people on exactly what you want them to see. And it really makes the message that you're trying to get across, or the story, or both, a lot more effective. But if it's done wrong, it just, And I have a friend, again, he's a cinematographer. He won't see any animated movies. He hates them. He, absolutely hates them, even the good ones. Indie Phantom, bring back the Apple Dumpling Gang. Yeah, you know what? That would be one to bring back. You could bring back the Apple Dumpling Gang. Um, it's not a bad title. It already took place in the Wild West anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's not like it's dated. It was already dated. Um, it would be a fun kids movie taking place in a Wild West. Yeah, I would. That's a good call. I remember the Apple Dumpling Gang. I think there was rumors they were going to redo Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I don't know about that one. Maybe if you do it right, but I don't know. I think that was technically a period piece. Didn't that take place in the past when they made it? Because it wasn't a modern car. I know that. Um, Number 4, sitting at 4, is Sonic the Hedgehog 3, 5.5 million, in its 6th week. Still doing well. Ardent, LOL, Apple Dumpling Gang. In the words of Obi-Wan Kenobi, that's a name I've not heard for a long time. A long time. And that was my Alec Guinness. Thank you. Thank you very much. Indie Phantom, I want to see that Flow animated flick about the cat in the disaster. Yeah, I did. I kept seeing the poster for it. I don't know much about it. It's getting a lot of buzz. But these days, when it gets a lot of buzz from the Oscars, I kind of go, uh-oh, what the hell is this movie? How did they work a drag queen into this one? But maybe. Indie Phantom Ardent, I am bringing back the classics. JC, I love Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, but it's not popular enough to bother to remake. Well, I'm in two minds on remakes. There are remakes that I think are essentially cash grabs that are still popular enough that if you remake them, people are going to see it. But a lot of those are very unnecessary, I feel, and that's what they are, cynical cash grabs. However, I think if you take a movie like The Apple Dumpling Gang, which wasn't particularly popular in its day, I don't think it made a lot of money. You know what? Let's see. The Apple Dumpling Gang. This is way back. This is like ancient history. Okay, came out in 1975. It made $31 million. We have... It was up against Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Wow. No idea. It took place in the 1870s. I didn't realize that. And it was based on a book. So, historical fiction. 1870s. Had they invented cars in the 1870s? I guess the car was super high tech then. Not seeing the... Wonder what the budget was. But there's no way it was $31 million. So that's a pretty good remake, or not remake, but profit. Ardent, applause. JC, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was like set in the 1930s. The car was a 19s racing car. Film was made in 1960s. I'm thinking you're wrong because it came out in 70. Oh, wait. No, I'm looking at Apple Dumpling Gang. No, this was the 1870s. I'm confusing the two. So, 31 million. Well, I might as well look up Chitty Chitty Bang Bang while I'm here. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Yeah, let's look up that. So, like, the Apple Dumpling Gang, you could completely rebrand it. Like, you could make it, you could put kids in it, and make it in the Wild West or whatever. Oh, come on. There it is. So, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Yeah, see, here's the remake. Remake's in the works. No data. Too far back, I guess. And also based on a story. You're right, 68. 68 this was. JC, Apple Dumpling Gang is bad title for a movie to release today. I think if you did it as a kid's movie, it could be fun. The problem is we don't really have like people like Dick Van Dyke, although he's still alive. Or no, wait, he wasn't in it. He was in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. We don't have like people like Don Knotts, and we don't have wholesome comics to be in the damn thing that would. I mean, who could you put in it? Maybe Sebastian Maniscalco, although his image isn't that squeaky clean. But he's pretty expressive. And another comic. It would have to be a Tim Conway. Who would be the Tim Conway? I don't know. Maybe Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart and Sebastian Maniscalco. That could be a fun team up. I don't know. The stars aren't there. Indie Phantom. Well, they brought back Willy Wonka successfully. Yeah, I didn't like that remake at all. But LeMay, I heard about a possible remake, a movie about a flying car and kids getting captured by evil monarchs who hate kids, maybe for not this day and an age. Maybe for not day and age. Yeah. JEC, I looked it up. It was supposed to be set in the 1910s. Oh, okay. Indie Phantom. They would put Jack Black in it. Oh, yeah. I'm done with him. JC, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was Hollywood's trying to cash in on Mary Poppins with Dick Van Dyke and another kid's musical based on a children's book. Ardent, Shane Gillis and Theo Vaughn. That would be pretty funny. Shane Gillis would be pretty funny in that role. And Theo, I haven't seen Theo in anything. Has he had a TV show outside his podcast? Maybe. But Shane Gillis, I could see in an old dusty old Western clothes, and he's fairly funny. Need somebody with bug eyes like Don Knotts. Ooh. Indie Phantom. Wonka sucked, but it was money. That's true. That is true. All right. Let's get back to movies from this century. So Sonic the Hedgehog hovering at 4. Moana 2 going up to 5 from 6. Will this movie just die? 4.3 million in its 9th week. I don't think we're ever going to get away from this movie. Store Bang. Tires is pretty funny. I've seen a clip from Tires. Shane Gillis is slowly starting to win me over with his comedy. I just wish he hadn't taken that Bud Light deal. But I guess I can understand. He needed, he wants money. LeMay, sorry for the typos. Maybe not in this day and age. Oh, okay. Due to Hollywood. Yeah. That's what I thought you meant, but I wasn't sure. JC, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was an Ian Fleming book with a script by Roald Dahl. Huh. Really? Ardent, at LeMay, day and age. Says Ardent. Winking. Yeah, this Moana, it's a monster. It's a monster now. We're going to get definitely Moana 3. It's cracked $1 billion. You hit the $1 billion club. Ain't no way they're not going to make a sequel to this. LeMay at Ardent. Darn. Number 6 is Presence. New movie. Premiering at 3.4 million. Sounds like a ghost movie. And I think it is. Here's the write-up. It's there before the family even moves in. It witnesses the family's most intimate, uncomfortable moments. It navigates the family's new house at supernatural speed. It pays unusual attention to Chloe, the teenage girl who's neither her mother's nor her brother's favorite. It wants, no, it needs something. And as time goes on, the presence pieces together how it might accomplish its goal. Yeah, so it sounds like a creepy movie. So it's probably not going to go much further than that. JC. Roald Dahl also wrote the screenplay for You Only Live Twice. I think they were both in British Spies in World War II. I think you may be right. I think I remember hearing that. Ardent. LeMay, at LeMay. Don't feel too bad. One of the hazards of sharing a chat section with a freelance proofreader. Indie Phantom. There are like no big movies until April unless you count Captain America. I do not. Captain America 4 looks like it has everything going against it. Like everything. Ardent. LOL. Old commandos never die. They just make entertainment material that stands the test of time. Between the reshoots, the enormous cost of the movie, which I think they are now openly lying about, because now they're saying, oh, the movie cost 180 million. Yeah, I think the second or third movie you shot cost 180 million. But there's at least another one whole movie you already shot that you abandoned that had to cost at least as much. So we're talking, the rumor is like $350 million, which is just insanely high. I mean, that's just, hey, everybody, let's get a giant tax write-off. I don't think it'll make its budget back. I don't think it'll make $180 million. But who knows? A lot of people will go to see it because, the momentum of the Marvel movies and, whatever momentum Falcon Captain America has, and possibly a handful of holdouts for Harrison Ford. But I can't see that movie doing any real business. Maybe it cracks. I mean, the rumor is they're charting it for 90 million for opening weekend. I think that's pretty generous. I don't think it's going to make that kind of money. But let's say it does. 90 million, that still ain't enough money. Right? 100, let's say 180 million, 90 million. That tops you out at 150 domestically. JC, I saw the trailer for Captain America 4 Global Homo Agenda last night. Nerdrotic calls it Captain African American. Last night before the movie. Looks mad. They were trying really hard to make it look like a gritty spy flick, but then CGI Red Hulk showed up. Yeah, and here's the weird thing. Like, he's in it for a good portion of the trailer, but the rumor is he's only in it for about 5 minutes in the movie. And that's going to piss people off. Because I think if anything gets people out to see that thing, it'll be like, ooh, new Hulk. Because people love Hulks. They love the Hulk, not that Hulk, but they love the Hulk, and they're desperate for a Hulk movie. And this is the closest thing they got. So the Hulk fans might come out for it. They're going to be disappointed, I think. And they are not going to be kind. You're going to have people screaming on the internet about this movie, I think. So on top of the fact, it's got lackluster everything. They've overhyped it for God knows how long. They've been talking about this movie for over a year, easy. 2 years maybe. The enormous cost, the fact that there's no real Marvel characters in it other than you could count the Falcon, but he's not the Falcon. He's Captain America in this, and that's not who he really is. They got him doing things in the movie in the trailer that look totally unrealistic. He doesn't have any superpowers. I mean, it's just list after list of things. A reason not to see this movie. Anthony Mackie's not particularly a strong lead. I think he's an okay actor. Harrison Ford S the bed in the last Indiana Jones movie. So what do you have to even what is the draw? What is the freaking draw? JC, Marvel's made 45 million. I think it'll do a bit better, like 55. That sounds about right. I mean, I think it'll do a little more than that, simply because Anthony Mackie still has a bit of a following. I think the Disney heads will come out for it, but it's also dropping on February 14th, Valentine's Day. So who the hell is going to take their girlfriend to that? I mean, my girlfriend already sent me a text. We are not going to that movie because she doesn't know, or she didn't know at the time that I'm like, oh no, I'm way down on that movie. But Ardent, why do I suspect the Red Hulk is bait for a near or after credit scene? Probably. I mean, the intent is probably to bring him back in something else, but on top of everything else, you know the other shoe's going to drop with the politics in the movie because Harrison Ford is playing Thunderbolt Ross, who's the president of the United States for some reason. So you know there's going to be some stupid nod to the politics of the day, and that hasn't dropped yet. But I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting. JC, Harrison Ford was all over the trailer, but I bet he's not in very much of either. I don't think he is. Well, no one made a comment about Harrison Ford. They just said the Red Hulk's not in it a lot. Also, Giancarlo Esposito apparently is the villain, and he's fine. He's a good actor. He's even a good villain, but what Marvel character is he even playing? Who's he even playing? Like, you need a big villain for Captain America to fight, right? They made a huge mistake killing off the Red Skull. Like, gigantic. They need to bring him back in a big way for Captain America to work. Because that's all they ever did in the comics, right? Like, even in the comics, they killed the Red Skull a bunch of times, I think. I don't know if he's currently dead, but they definitely brought him back at least once. Bring back the Red Skull so he has his nemesis. Ardent, I'd rather see a Don Cheadle-led War Machine Iron Patriot movie. That sounds like it's been canceled. They were gearing up to do Armor Wars, which was a fairly decent comic book run, I think. Or at least it made smart. It sounded smart enough to do in the movie. It sounded like something they could make into a movie because it would be all Iron Men fighting. That would be kind of cool, but doesn't sound like it's happening. And I blame the studio for recasting a War Machine as Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle is completely wrong for that role, I think. He's too skinny. He doesn't look like a Marine. He's Don Cheadle. He's too big of a star. I think Terrence Howard looked way more military. If they had to recast him, I think you should have went with a guy like Jonathan Majors. Would have been great for that role. He's a beast. He's gigantic. I don't get the casting in Hollywood sometimes. Don Cheadle is a little skinny guy. Doesn't make any sense. He doesn't strike me as a military guy. Ardent, think they'll finally do a new Hulk movie? Oh, they should, but the problem is I've heard that Namor and the Hulk are two IPs that Disney doesn't have complete control over. So they're kind of like Spider-Man. They own them, but they have to pay out to the other co-licensees in order to do movies. So they don't want to use the Hulk if they can avoid it. And the rumor was that's why you didn't get to see the Hulk in what's the name? Or very often in Endgame, right? Like, because he was in the suit instead of being the Hulk. Like, why wouldn't you want to see the Hulk, like, all over the Endgame? But, JEC, all the trailers before the movie were all spy movies with effeminate male spies, Black Bag, Thunderbolts, something with the guy who was Freddie Mercury, and they were also cringe. Yeah, and I could name those. Black Bag is the Michael Fassbender movie with Cate Blanchett as the spy couple, and he has to investigate his wife. Thunderbolts is DOA. It's another dumb movie Marvel never should have developed, and all you comic fans know why. And the Malik movie, Rami Malek movie, that one, they kill his wife, and he's not a spy, but he works for the agency, and so he has to use other means. He's just super smart, so he uses his smarts to get revenge for his wife. That one actually looks okay. Lawrence Fishburne is in it. Out of the three of those, that last one looks okay. But yeah, they're beating the spy genre to death. And again, why? I don't know. How many popular spy things have there been in recent years? Yeah, you got James Bond. They killed James Bond. It was terrible, in my view. We're not in the Cold War anymore. The spy stuff doesn't play like it used to. Back in the day during the Cold War, the spy stuff was hot. It was hot during James Bond. You had spies on TV. You had spies in movies everywhere. And it was very popular. Now, not so much. But they keep doing it. And half the time, they do these spy movies, and the villain is so ill-defined. It's just like evil guy. They might as well just call them evil guys. There's no real geopolitical politics in it. At least during the Cold War, you could just say the Soviets, and it made sense, and there was a bit of geopolitics in it. They would, because it took place in the 60s or 70s, you would harken back to the big war, and, you know, you could have bad guys from Germany, old bad guys from Germany. Again, I think you should set James Bond back in the 60s where he belongs, but LeMay, I'm hoping this movie will be to young men what The Princess and the Frog. Huh? I'm hoping this movie will be to young men what The Princess and the Frog is to young women. Are you saying that? I think that's the rest of the quote. A Captain America forwarder. Really? Wow, he is huffing some awesome weed. He is doing lots of kush. JC, everyone in the Captain America New World LGBTQS2 propaganda looks so old. Is there, who's gay in that movie? I don't even know. Ardent, they could have brought Hydra back if they hadn't completely killed them off. Yeah, and they have other ones too. They have AIM. That was the era. When they made those comics, that was the era of spy stuff. Nick Fury was a spy guy initially. He became Marvel's answer to James Bond. And AIM was one. Hydra was another. Oh God, there's one other. So yeah. JC, Red Skull was in Infinity Wars. Infinity Wars. It was? Well, I think they need to make him alive again. They just need to resurrect him somehow. Ardent, Armor Wars was pretty good back in the day without RDJ. But without RDJ, I doubt it could work. That is true. They should just recast him. But now they're bringing him back as Doctor Doom, so I don't know. Ardent, Terrence Howard's Next Time Baby line in Iron Man was perfect. He was just good in the role. I mean, he looks the part of Rhodey. Don Cheadle looks like he's just too skinny. JC, Major. Sorry, sir. Indie Phantom, Don Cheadle is hyper woke too. Yeah, that doesn't help. JC, Majors would have been a good war machine. Oh, you're talking about, right, what my comment about Major. Jonathan Major. Would have been a good war machine, actually, but he wasn't a thing in 2009 when they recasted the character. That's true. That is true. But I'm sure they could have found someone like him. Somebody who was built, you know? Or who looked like Terrence Howard, looked like a Marine. Ardent, just checked. Universal owns the rights to solo Hulk movies. There you go. Yeah. Ardent at Indie Phantom. The best movie I've ever seen Cheadle in was Traitor. I remember the trailer for that, but I didn't see it. JC, I'm just not interested in spy movies at this point. Global conflicts are against the Chinese or Muslim countries, but it's all white actors in all these films. Yeah, that's the problem. They don't use any real geopolitical politics because they're so afraid of being called racist. They definitely won't do it against any of the Muslim countries, I think, because they're worried of some sort of violent. I think they're worried about some sort of violent backlash, which I don't even think they would care because, you know, it's not, unless you did something against the religion, I don't think they care about that kind of thing per se. They won't do it against the Chinese, I think, because the Chinese have so much invested in our media. They just don't want to, and they don't want it to. They want it to open in China, where you make tons of money. So yeah, Ardent, AIM, if done without the cheesy suits, could work. Yeah, I love the suits. LeMay, yes, it was from Rob Edwards. Oh. Ardent, yeah, Red Skull was the keeper of the Soul Stone. Oh, right. That was in Infinity War. I thought that was in Endgame. I don't remember them now. But yeah, I mean, I think they should just bring him back to life. But keep it simple. It was weird they made the Red Skull that guy. Because that was part of the deal. Like, the Red Skull survived too. He survived the big war. He was just old, whereas Captain America was still young. Let's see. Ardent. Mission Impossible's franchise is running out of not real bad guys to fight. Well, I never liked Mission Impossible all that much. I did like one of them. I think it was like the fourth or fifth one. It was pretty good, but even that, like, at least that one took place in an Arab country, so it felt more geopolitical, but I didn't think it was there. Indie Phantom, Boogie Nights is the best Don Cheadle movie, yet he sucks. Yeah, he doesn't really do much in that movie except be there. Ardent at Indie Phantom, never seen, no interest. Ardent, Infinity War and Endgame had the Red Skull. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was the Red Skull was in Endgame. I didn't remember Infinity War. JC, Black Bag looks so effing cringe. A spy who cucked me, basically. Sick of female action characters. Yeah. Yeah, and there's just more coming out. Indie Phantom, can't wait for the Oscars to totally give Best Actress to a man. It's happening this time. Probably. Yeah. Amelia Perez is a movie, and I swear this is the movie. It is a musical, number one. It is about Indie Phantom, Oscars so cringe. It is about a cartel member or a cartel higher up who then becomes trans, and it's a musical about that. So he transitions, and one of the songs is him singing about his sex change with a doctor. I don't think he's performing it during the song, but they're singing about it. And you can look up the clip, and it's so bad. It's like, it's one of those things you used to see in a movie about making movies that you would laugh at because, oh, they'd never make that movie. They made it. Not only they made it, they're insisting it's good, and they've nominated it, I believe, for the most Oscars. That's at the top. I think Wicked is number 2, and I think The Brutalist and some of the others come in after. So these are your 3 Oscar contenders. A musical about a trans cartel member getting a sex change. A movie that's another musical, which the cast seems super... It's not overtly gay, I don't think, but there's a lot of LGBTQ messaging in it. And then the third movie is 3.5 hours long, and it looks fine. It's about immigrants. But I can't imagine it's good at that length. I can't imagine any movie's good at 3.5 hours, except Lord of the Rings. Maybe. And even then you're pushing it. JC, Amelia Perez, literally everyone hated it. I've seen the one clip about singing out penis and vaginas. Yeah, it's weird. Who is that movie for? Like, who is sitting around going, oh, you know what I would like to see in movies? Trans cartel members singing about their junk. Like, no one in the history of humanity has even thought that thought until I just said it. And I said it ironically, so it doesn't count. So, like, this movie is for no one except people who want to go, ooh, I went to see Amelia Perez. Aren't I a wonderful person? Should be the rest of that sentence. JC, it was their lawyer researching to sex change for the guy. Oh, the scene I saw, he's singing with a doctor. Ardent. Goodbye, dear penis. I'll miss you. JC. I'm pulling a complete unknown to win. F it. Who cares? Who cares who wins at this point? The Oscars are a joke. The Oscars are a complete joke. They don't matter anymore. When they created them when Hollywood was cool and it was up and coming. And they were cool for about 40 years. Right around the 1960s, as soon as they started virtue signaling about their various causes on stage, that's when it started to go out. It stopped being cool. It started to be annoying. You know, in the early 60s, you had the Rat Pack, and it was still, that kind of stuff was still kind of cool. But by the late 60s, it all became a virtue signal. And it's slowly been turning towards that ever since, along with the rest of Hollywood. So this is why you have so many projects that are so bad and so awful and so political and so righteous in their politics. At least 20, 30 years ago, they would hide it. Back in the 80s, they still believed all this stuff, but they would hide it. They would go, oh, no, we got to hide it because people out in the Midwest won't watch the movie. Now they don't even care. Oh, people in the Midwest won't watch the movie? F them is their attitude. So, it's just, I don't care. Here's what I'm pulling for. I'm pulling for the Oscars to get such low ratings, they seriously consider stop televising it. They just stop televising it for the next 10 years. I would love if they never televised the Oscars again or only put it on the internet. It's probably where it belongs at this point. It's so niche. But they keep putting, I mean, if they're going to put on the Golden Globes, you're not going to put on the Oscars? They put on the freaking Golden Globes, and oh my God, there's so many award shows. It's just too many. Indie Phantom, if the man doesn't win Best Actress, I'm going to troll the hell out of Hollywoke. Indie Phantom, I want them to go for the D hand or the D hard. JC, yeah, the scene that went viral, it was the drug dealer's lawyer talking to a sex change doctor in Asia, I think. Oh, weird. Indie Phantom, yeah, I want the ratings in the toilet. JC, they televise the Tony still. Yeah, but at least that's like, you know, that's Broadway, and we're not constantly bombarded with Broadway crap on TV necessarily. And so once in a while checking in with Broadway, I don't mind as much, but, you know, they televise so many award shows, and I care almost nothing for them. What will eventually happen is, and it's already starting to happen, there are very few celebrities, and the celebrities that do exist will stop going. Because the celebrities that still have some amount of pull will begin to realize that the Oscars and these award shows are actually dragging them down. And they'll say, no, I don't go to award shows. That'll be the new trend. You'll see somebody in the upper echelons, not like a Woody Allen. Like Woody Allen did it because, you know, that was a different kind of virtue signal. But you'll see celebrities just stop going, I think. And that's when it'll start to fall apart. Indie Phantom, Conan O'Brien is an awkward spot because he has to joke about trans or he'll lose all credibility. I don't think he cares. I mean, at this point in his career, he's done what he set out to do. You know, he's got all the money he needs. He doesn't strike me as one of those guys that has to work anymore. So he's just, I mean, this is his bucket list. I mean, maybe he'll pull a Ricky Gervais and rip everybody. It would be great. It'd be legendary. If anybody did it, I could see him doing it, but he's not a very mean guy. So he'll try to use his talent to kind of split the difference, I think. I don't think he can. You know, you You either go for the comedy jugular or your comedy's lukewarm and nobody likes you. So, we'll see. I don't know. He'd have to, like, massacre the room verbally for me to go, oh my God, I wish I'd watched the Oscars. But don't see it happening. All right, number 7, dropping from 3. Oof, The Wolfman, 3.4 million. In its second week, dropping 69%, which gives credence to all the buzz I'm hearing about this movie that it sucks. It's also in 3,300 theaters, so one of them days is in fewer theaters and only dropped 32%, and it made more than twice as much money. So that should tell you everything you need to know about The Wolfman. Not so bueno. And it's only made 17 million domestic. Are they sending it overseas? They are. Oof, only 9.8 million. No bueno. No bueno. Yeah, that's not good. JC, all these actor people know are so old at this point. It's sad to watch them. And there are no up-and-coming actors because of how atomized the younger audience is. Yeah, that's a huge factor. Absolutely. There's a couple, but they're not all that well known, you know? No one's really well known, you know. It's... In previous years, you had people who became big stars in a shorter period of time. There are people who become big stars, but now the process is much longer because of that atomization. You know, and movies are just not what they used to be, and it's all because of the internet. There are bigger stars on the internet than there are in movies. And yeah, that's just the way it is. You know, you have Joe Rogan with 100 million subscribers, like millions and millions of subscribers, hits, billions of hits. It just can't even compare to, you know, in terms of audience, to television anymore, much less movies. So movies, there's just too many bad ones. You know, it reaches a saturation point where people just throw up their hands and go, oh, I don't go to movies. Movies suck. I might as well, you know, the smart move is to wait until the thing's on streaming and everybody's been talking about it for months. And you go, oh, yeah, I'll watch that movie now because I know it's good, right? You don't have to waste your time. You know, I missed Brotherhood of the Wolf for whatever reason. And now I finally saw it. Like, my life wasn't destroyed because I missed it back in 2001. And there's plenty of movies like that. Like, and then some of them, even ones that people rave about, are okay. And the part of the problem, too, is they just rave about everything. Every one of these movies they've raved about. Every single one of them. Oh, my God, you got to see Mufasa. It's the greatest movie ever. Oh, my God, you got to see Presents. It's the greatest movie ever. Oh, my God, you got to see Wolfman. It's the greatest movie ever. Like, you hear that over and over again, then you know, like, there's no truth in any of this. And you just have to wait until, you know, if movies are important to you, you wait until you can figure out which movies are good and then you see them, or you just say, fuck it, I'm not, sorry, F it, I'm not even going to watch movies. Why should I bother? You know, after you've been burned so many times, if you go to used car lot looking for a new car, and every single time you drive a truck, it falls apart on the drive, eventually you're going to go, you know what, trucks are bad. I'm just going to give up trucks. I'm going to drive a car instead. JC, Timothy Chalamet, I guess, is one of the up-and-comer. He made a good Bob Dylan, but he's real small, skinny dude, kind of weird looking. Yeah, but he's been in big movies, you know. Ardent makes it easy to tell who's getting paid for their opinion. That's true. You know, you look at a guy like Adrian Brody. Like, Adrian Brody's been in a lot of movies. He's finally reaching the point, like, maybe they might throw him an Oscar or whatever, but he's not even that famous. You know? to the normies. The normies just don't follow this stuff. It's not the hot thing anymore. Ardent, gonna give Nemesis a rewatch for a media review tomorrow. Ooh. I haven't seen that movie. I know, I'm a Star Trek person. I never saw Nemesis. I kind of don't want to see Captain Kirk die. Indie Phantom, I won't watch Chalamet. I mean, I didn't want to see that cannibal movie he was in. That looks stupid. I kind of want to see Dune, but I've talked myself in and out of watching Dune. I don't know. Indie Phantom, I have a huge list of actors to avoid. Or no, I have a huge actors to avoid list. Yeah, it's like the actors aren't the ones that follow anymore for the most part. There are very few actors in my mind, especially in current day Hollywood, who will say no to a project. They're a little too hungry for work, a lot of them. And I can't blame them for taking roles they know that are going to be terrible movies. But like, one of the few guys off the top of my head I can think of who turns down projects or is very specific on the kinds of projects he will do is a guy like Bill Murray. Like, Bill Murray seems to be very selective in his projects. And you can agree or disagree with some of those picks, obviously, but for the most part, he tries to pick stuff that is cool and interesting. A lot of guys don't seem to do that. A lot of guys have the attitude, they're like Michael Caine. Oh, right, I'll be in anything. And I love Michael Caine, but he's been in some real stinkers. He was in Jaws 3D. It was awful. It's just plain awful. I think Jaws 3D. Yeah, Jaws 3D. The one where people are in the bumper boats and the shark is trying to kill them. God, it's an awful movie. You know, like Liam Neeson. How many more Liam Neeson movies are we going to get? The guy's always in the same movie. You might as well just call it Liam Neeson 1, Liam Neeson 2, Liam Neeson Returns. It's the same damn movie every time. Ardent. Kirk died in Generations. Nemesis is the one with Tom Hardy. Oh, okay. Oh, wait, I did see Nemesis then. That's the one where they go back in time? No. I forget. That's the one with the guys who had the skin across their face? Kirk died in Generations. That's right. Indie Phantom. Dune movies bore me, so I pass on those. JC. I hated Blade Runner 2049. Oh, that is an awful movie. God, I'm so sorry I watched that. So much, I have zero interest in Dune or anything else that director makes. He made that? I'm out. I'm officially out of Dune, everybody. I didn't realize that was the same guy. God, that movie sucks. That sucks so bad. I won't tell my Blade Runner 2049 story again, but man, I have a friend. He gets livid every time you watch that movie. He will go on a tirade for 20 minutes every time we get into conversations about movies all the time. If Blade Runner 2024 comes up, or 49 comes up, he goes nuts. He effing hates that movie. We went to see it together. Ardent at Indie Phantom. Did you ever see sci-fi miniseries? I haven't seen the newest Dune movies, but those were good. Indie Phantom. I skipped the Ghostbusters sequel. Yeah, I'm the biggest Ghostbusters fan ever, and I skipped them too. I can't really motivate myself. Like, I might watch them if they come on streaming one day and me and my girlfriend could watch them. Maybe while we do something else, play cards or whatever. Yeah, I'll watch the Ghostbusters movie. I think they'll be mildly amusing, but they're just not. The comedy coming out of Hollywood sucks so much. And I desperately want to see comedy make a comeback, but I can't get back in. Not in the ways I was trying to get in before. I might get back in with the Pineys one day, but we'll see. Ardent at JEC. Ever seen The Professor or The Fifth Element? Or The Professional or The Fifth Element? I love The Fifth Element. Given good material in the right era, now is just bad all the way around. Denis Villeneuve isn't a bad director. Oh, he did The Fifth Element? Oh, damn it. That's a good movie. The Professional, I haven't seen, but it looks good. Indie Phantom, I have only seen Lynch's version of Dune, not super into it. Ardent, LOL, Back in Time is First Contact or Voyage Home. Faces is Insurrection. Oh man, I'm confusing all my late Star Trek movies. Zevix Demise is here. Good evening, everyone. JC at Arnott. I just looked him up. You're mixing the director of Dune with someone else. All right. Now we have to. All right. Hold on. We have to check Arnott. Let's see what. This is Dune. Where is he? That's the Dune TV show. Dune Part 1. Dennis. All right, here's Dennis. Blade Runner 2049. Terrible. Arrival. Sicario was good. I like Sicario. Enemy. No. Prisoners. Rated R for nudity. Empirical study of influence of sound on retinal persistence. Incendies. Polytechnic. Next floor. 120 seconds to get elected. Maelstrom. August 32nd on Earth. Cosmos. Yeah, I don't see him in this. Let's see. Let's look up The Fifth Element. See what you're confusing. You're confusing him with Luc Besson. Luc Besson. Oh, he did Taken. Oh, Taken the TV series. Yeah. Oh, no, he did Taken 3. Taken 2. And I assume Taken 1. Yeah, there's Taken 1. Taxi. There's a lot of Taxi movies. Transporter. I like that movie. There he is. The Professional and The Fifth Element. I like both those movies. Well, I didn't see The Professional. I like The Fifth Element. I think The Professional is a good movie from what I've seen of the clips. La Femme Nikita. That looks amazing too. So, yeah. I think, okay. Indie Phantom fell asleep halfway through the Blade Runner sequel at home. Didn't make it to Harrison Ford. You should be thankful. Ardent at Indie Phantom. Right. I was thinking Luke Benson. Sorry, mea culpa. Ardent. The Professional is amazing. One of the best movies with Jean Reno and Gary Oldman. Oh, yeah. The Gary Oldman clips. That's what I always say. And they are awesome. Ardent at Zevix Demise. Hello. Indie Phantom. Speaking of bad comedy, this weekend, Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell, I have a streaming movie, looks horrid. Oh, yeah, that's like you're invited to the wedding or something. JC at Ardent. Dennis Villeneuve directed Dune. Luke Benson directed Fifth Element. Ardent, nah, I screwed up. I take full responsibility. I've already administered a beating. Kiss of the Dragon is one of Jet Li's best. Are you sure Jet Li's in it? No, I'm just kidding. Indie Phantom. The Fifth Element was decent. Reminded me of the story in Heavy Metal with the cab driver. Yes. JC. Dennis Villeneuve is dreadful, pretentious, and boring. Ardent at Indie Phantom. Probably inspired that short. All right, let's get through the rest of the box office here. Number 8, hanging at 8, A Complete Unknown. Let's see how this movie's doing. 74 million worldwide. Not great overseas, but I don't know if Dylan has much appeal outside of the United States. Apparently not. So, but that, again, doesn't look like an expensive movie. Dropping to 9 from 5, Den of Thieves Part 2, Pantera, in its third week. I don't know. People are saying this is terrible and the first one's good. Here's number 10, The Brutalist. Again, 3.5 hours long. It's in its 6th week. It's somehow in over 1,000 theaters. I don't know. God bless you if you can sit through a movie that long. You know. Ardent. Hey, I'm not the Biden level senile. Indie Phantom was starting to rewatch an old Gary Oldman noir movie called Romeo is Bleeding. Awesome so far. And Lena Olin being sexy as F. Yeah, I've seen clips of that one. He looks like a maniac in that too. JC, Professional is good, but it would be creepy to watch today with baby Natalie Portman being sexualized. Indie Phantom, Professional is still Portman's best movie. I kind of can't stand Natalie Portman, but I've heard good things. JC, A Complete Unknown might have cost a bit. Lots of period shots. Ed Norton is in it. Yeah, I don't know. He's not doing a lot of big movies. He's like more of an actor's actor. I could see that guy taking a pay cut. He didn't care. He didn't seem to care. But he's another guy. I mean, he's not up and coming anymore, but he's got a big enough name. He's reaching that sort of upper echelon level of actor. Number 11 is Brave the Dark from Angel Studios. So, I forget what this is about. 2.5 million? When Mr. Dean discovers one of his students have been living out of his car and thrown in jail, he decides to bail him out. Determined to curb Nate's self-destructive behavior, Mr. Dean quickly discovers a host of dark secrets that are slowly tearing Nate apart. What started as a good deed becomes a desperate fight to save Nate from his own demons. As Nate spirals deeper into despair, Mr. Dean must decide how far he's willing to go to save a kid on the brink of losing everything, even himself. So that sounds like an Angel Studios movie. They're still making pretty wholesome-esque content, I'll say. JC, Ed Norton is really the second male lead in A Complete Unknown. Yeah, he plays Arlo Guthrie. Number 12, dropping from 9, is Wicked, 2.4 million. This is another movie. We're definitely getting a sequel to this because they already made it. Didn't quite do $1 billion though, 717 million. Nosferatu drops to 13 from 7. 2 million, a little over. Again, not a huge fan of this. Not sure how much it cost. This movie looked expensive to me. Number 14 is Baby Girl, dropping from 11. This movie, I don't want to see it, but I would have greenlit it. I mean, it's money in the bank. I wouldn't have put Nicole Kidman in it, though. I would have put some unknown hot chick. JC, Ed Norton is Pete Seeger. Oh, Pete Seeger? Oh, cool. I thought he was Arlo Guthrie. Why did I think that? Number 15 is September 5th, otherwise known as the other version of Munich. 770,000 movies. Premiering at 16, The Colors Within. This appears to be, it's an anime thing, it looks like. $674,000. Nickel Boys at 17. Homestead, still hanging in there. Flow, still in theaters, still in 221 theaters. Indeed, you could still catch it. Hard Truths from Bleecker Street. Gladiator 2 still hanging in there. Anora in its 15th week. Still out there. Inheritance. I think I saw the trailer for this. Struggling to remember the thing. Nope, that isn't what I thought it was. I think that's a different movie. All right, so this premiered at $132,000. That doesn't bode well. Indie Phantom. Some were complaining that Nosferatu has a silly mustache. That would be me. Indie Phantom. September 5th looks okay. Yeah, it just looks like Munich again. I think Munich was the last watchable Spielberg joint. It was pretty watchable. It's a bit dark. It didn't get all caught up in sentimentality, I'll tell you that. It couldn't. Conclave, 90,000. This movie's up for a gazillion Oscars too. I think it might be third. It might be ahead of The Brutalist, now that I think about it. A Real Pain, still hanging in there. Wild Robot, that's nominated too. All We Imagine Is Light, Craven the Hunter, The Seed of the Sacred Fig, that Iranian movie. Premiering this week, Liza, a truly terrific, absolute true story. I believe this is about Liza Minnelli. I think this is her life story. Yeah. there's that. Vermiglio and the soundtrack to a coup d'etat, $65 million for the weekend. Ouch. Ouch. Not great. No bueno. So, yeah, we're really in DOA territory. What can Hollywood do? I don't know. Release some friggin' movies. Just release them in the theaters and hope for the best. Maybe cut your prices. You know? Why not? Why not cut your prices? You know? If you're not making... Isn't it better to make some money in these theaters than nothing? Cut your prices. Cut $1 off of everything. Just right off the top. Cut $1. Undercut everybody. One studio should do that. And get into a price war with the other studios. I think it could work. But that's the movie biz. So let's check the trades and see if there's any hope for Hollywood for that. Here's Flight Risk. See, there's Marky Mark. Look at him. He looks like a maniac. He looks completely different. I mean, kind of not, but kind of yeah. Timothy Chalamet covers 3 personal favorite Bob Dylan deep tracks in SNL musical appearance. I guess. I'm not sure I want to hear Chalamet sing, but I guess that's what he does in the movie. A complete unknown director, James Mangold, says there's hostility towards movies that wear their heart on their sleeves. No. No, Mangold. There's hostility towards you for screwing up the Indiana Jones movie. You're a big part of that, in my opinion. Indie Phantom. Tony, did I miss your Emilia Perez review? I just couldn't find it anywhere. Perfect date movie for the missus. Yeah, keep looking. JC. Rock his wig off. Or rook his wig off? He sounds like Bob Dylan. It's not hard to sound like Bob Dylan. Now that's true. Complete unknown. Let's see. Nothing really happening. Here's the Eagles beating Washington Commanders to clinch Super Bowl. So for those of you who care about that. Yeah. Oh, here's Bill Murray. Bill Murray admits he's been lazy about finding work, says he relates to his destructive characters. I've done some damage. JC. Marky Mark took his wig off. Oh, okay. I don't know. They can do a lot with the bald wigs these days. Indie Phantom. I watched a terrible Paul Schrader flick called Oh Canada, where Richard Gere plays a draft dodger who moves to Canada and make woke docs for the CBC. Not even kidding. I talked about that trailer. Yeah, that didn't look great. Didn't look great. You'd think Paul Schrader would have made a better movie. But yeah, that didn't look great at all. All right, switching over to Fandom Pulse. Mainstream science fiction never recovered after canceling Orson Scott Card for standing on Christian values. I guess. I don't know. Mainstream science fiction wasn't exactly in great shape before or after him. Book publishing in general is not in great shape. Kind of like television. You could complain all day about this show or that show, or this network or that network killing television, but the entire industry is going downhill. Book publishing, I mean, again, about 30 years ago, they leaned heavily in the women's market and never came back, and that really disrupted things. The entire staffs of a lot of publishers are made primarily of women. They have, and there's nothing wrong with publishing female books. They sell well, and there's a good market for it. The problem is they also want to sell books to men, and they just don't even make them. Or they make books that are so feminized and then try to market them towards men, but they just don't listen to the men, I think, and they come up with these books no man would ever read, and I've had personal experience with that. So it's the entire book industry, really. And now the book industry is just one giant grift half the time, where you're paying a guy to ghostwrite a book from some politician because some big entity wants to bribe them, and the only way they can properly bribe them without getting caught is to have this book ghostwritten and then buy a bunch of copies so you can bribe the guy very directly, so to speak. And then nobody wants the damn book, but it eats up all the company's resources promoting it and everything because they desperately want to sell a bio that nobody really wants, with few exceptions. So the book industry in general is, and then you have Amazon, and now we don't need book publishers. So book publishers need to take a long, hard look at what they really want to do. Just like television and some of these other mediums. Radio, when radio went out of vogue, they eventually found a niche for themselves that sort of works, kind of. It's not as big as it was, but it's still something. Books and television and a few other mediums, they need to figure out who their audience is and what they could do to service them again. And I have ideas in that direction, and I try to employ that in my own book publishing. I can only do so much, but Amazon's a big part of that, and so far it's been really great. I hope they never change the rules, though. JC, all these famous guys' hair is fake. Look up what Elon looked like in his 20s. Yeah, well, I mean, he could have gotten plugs. You can get plugs. They can cure it. Or, yeah, they basically force the hair follicles into your skull and they take root. Not in your skull, but. Indie Phantom, flight risk will be fun. Heard that the FX leaves something to be desired, though. Shot in the volume. Shot in the volume. Indie Phantom, yeah, these politicians' books seem so pointless with short shelf life. Yeah, they're a bribe. Nobody buys them except for the people trying to give the bribe. So they're going to buy like 500,000 books so they can bribe, so the royalty check goes right to the politician. They sit them in a warehouse for a couple of weeks, and then when it's safe, they start trying to sell them, hoping to get rid of them at some kind of, hoping that it goes onto the New York Times bestseller list, that it's popular enough that they can unload the books. And if they don't, they eventually unload them at a book warehouse. So if you've ever been to one of those book warehouses and like you see, they have a picture somewhere on Twitter of Hillary Clinton's book, and it was 98 cents, I think. It was like a $30 book. It's hardback and it's beautifully bound, supposed to be this book that's going to last you forever because, yeah, who doesn't want a Hillary Clinton book? Like her 8th book. And, nobody wants it. Probably the same people trying to, we got to save the planet. Let's cut down some more trees for my book bribe. JC, all these mediums realize it's over for them, which has turned them nihilistic, and their politics reflects it. Yeah, I could see that. But there are genuine people out there who want to publish books, but even they, and this is a big problem in comic books, they take on the infrastructure of the same failed policies of the big guys, right? So there are things you could do in comics that, Marvel and DC don't do anymore or won't do. Indie guys can do them. And they just don't do it because they look to Marvel and DC and they copy the same formats and stuff. And it's part of the reason indie comics have failed. They have failed, a lot of them. The new guys kind of succeed, Some of them succeed because they innovate a little bit as best they can. But the decentralization is working, I think, better for the creators than it is for the people with money. Um, the next step, though, and this is a real problem for creators, is the main problem with creators these days is exposure. You can't get any exposure anymore. Like, I used to be able to go on TV, local TV, for Jersey Devil stuff all the time, and it was easy. I literally would make one call and I'd get a newspaper article written about me about the Jersey Devil comic. These days I can't get that. Number one, I wouldn't want it because nobody reads newspapers. But number two, like, calling up TV stations, they won't cover that. They're so desperate. The only thing they will cover is like Hollywood and politics because they're desperate for ratings. It used to be that they were at least comfortable enough that once in a while they would cover something really local. Now forget it. Forget it. Indie Phantom. The volume is the big rear projection gimmick. No real sets. Oh, interesting. JC. If they even bother printing them at this point, they just pulp most of them. Yeah. Yeah. Comics, you have to sell it all yourself and cut out the middleman and keep the money yourself. Yep. That's what I do with my books. That's what I do with my comics. Eventually. Indie Phantom. Paul Schrader straight up admitted that ChatGPT could write better screenplays than him. That was a weird admission coming from him. Because he's been in the movie business for a while. I was like, what are you saying, dude? And I completely disagree with him, of course. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 confirmed banned in Saudi Arabia as PSN refunds purchases. That's because they insisted on putting a gay scene in a fantasy video game. I don't know why you would do that. It's just totally insane. I would love to be in the meetings for this. So I could be the one guy going, no, this is a dumb idea. No. We have gay fans. Yeah, but they don't want to see this in a game because it's a fantasy thing with swords and sorcery. Well, you're saying we should put a straight relationship in there? I'm saying no one wants to see relationships. They want sword and sorcery. You're wasting time. They want to see dragons being their heads cut off and spells going off and crazy crap. Not a bunch of people sitting around going, oh, gee, do you like me? And, you know, why would you put in a gay scene and cut off the market in Saudi Arabia? Dummies. Because I'll tell you, gay audiences love classic romance. So they love classic romance too. So they're perfectly fine with straight couples, having a classic romance. There's nothing wrong with that. So what the hell's the problem with these people? They're so friggin' woke. That's the problem. All right. More headlines. Star Trek Voyager and Starfleet Academy actor Robert Picardo calls Elon Musk a bad guy from Germany because of course he does. Because Robert Picardo apparently is super TDS woke. Like, off the charts. Like, he makes George Takei look like a Trump supporter. Apparently. So, Dark Horse Comics drops Neil Gaiman and cancels Anansi Boys graphic novels adaptation. So, that's the end of Neil Gaiman, everybody. So sell your Sandmans while they still hold their price. I sold mine back in the late 90s. I got about $400 for most of the run. So, at the time, after I sold that, a few years went by and I went, damn it, I probably could have gotten more money. And now I'm like, oh, I did all right. Ardent Yahtzees? Aren't we all? Yeah, according to these people, we are. Captain America Brave New World box office expectations already in decline. Ooh, let's look at this. So initially it was at 90, 95. JC said 55. I could see that. Maybe a little more. Looks like 81 to 107. Predicted it would do 96. And ultimately predicted 240 million. This is Sean Robbins at the box office. He's reduced his top end to between 81 and 98. Believes it will do 90. And predicts about 240. Deadline's Anthony D'Alessandro clocks it around 90, maybe 102 for a 4-day weekend. Marvels went into an opening weekend of 46.1 million, while Eternals did 71.2. So that gives you a range there. Captain America Civil War did 179 million opening weekend and grossed 408. Captain America, this is all domestic. Captain America Winter Soldier did 95 and grossed in a weekend and did 259 domestically. And the First Avenger did 65 million, did 176 domestically. So there's your numbers, everybody. Ardent, I want my Hugo Boss and my Volkswagen. Ardent, a hut as a gladiator? That's like thinking Lizzo would be believable on American Gladiators. Storebang, I put lyrics to a song I wrote into an AI app called Suno, and it spat out a polished version in a matter of seconds. Oh, that's weird. I always come up with songs. I should do that. Suno, I have to remember that. It took me weeks to produce the original demo the old-fashioned way. Cool. Ardent, at Storebang, is that a free app? I have a song I wrote in college I'd love to put a tune to. Indie Phantom, I missed the part where Captain America turned black suddenly. Oh, okay. No, this is, remember at the end of Endgame, he goes back in time and stays with Carter, the girl from the movie, and then in the present day, he's old, and he gives the shield to he gave the shield to the Falcon, and then they did the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show on Disney Plus, where he's sort of he's Captain America with the shield. I mean, he's technically Captain America, or as Nerdrotic said, Captain African American. So now this movie. So he didn't turn black. It's a different guy. But speaking of turning black, Assassin's Creed Shadows game director claims 4-month delay was primarily to improve parkour on Japanese architecture. Because you know how much there's a lot of parkour in ancient Japan. And along with the Black Samurais, it sounds super authentic, doesn't it? Oh, this thing. We got to talk about this. Did anybody else see I didn't see it, but did anybody see Star Trek Section 31? Because the reviews are spectacular. Spectacularly bad. Indie Phantom, didn't see Endgame, not a big Avengers guy. I saw the last Captain America at the drive-in years ago. Endgame, I like Endgame. It's a good capper to the whole thing if you followed it. JC, yes, ninjas jumping around. Man, they are just trashing this Section 31 as just being the worst piece of Star Trek crap you've ever seen. Now, initially, the deal was they were going to try to produce this as a new show, but and I guess they shot the pilot. Ardent, parkour, crouching tiger, hidden dragon style fighting walks would have made more sense. Yes. So I think the deal is they shot the pilot, and I think they even went in production with the first episode. So some people said the movie feels like an episode and more, but who knows? I ain't gonna say it. Who the hell would see this? It's so deep in Star Trek lore and yet completely ignores Star Trek lore. If you can imagine. This main character is from the Mirror Mirror universe. It's like, why would you even go there? Ardent, I might watch Section 31 this week just to torture myself. Well, I think you'll have a video at the very least. Again, my viewing stuff, like if I was making a living doing these videos, I would watch more just so I would have more videos, but I just can't bring myself to watch something like this knowing that it's going to be torturous. I just can't. I am going to watch Megalopolis though when I can watch it for free. But this is so bad and so stupid and so wrong. I don't know why they made it. I think Alex Kurtzman must really have just I don't know. His agent must be some sort of wizard who got him a contract that they just can't seem to fire him. I would love to have a contract where I couldn't be fired as much as Alex Kurtzman couldn't be fired, as much as like Joe Biden couldn't be fired. It just seems like these people fail upwards and no one calls them out on it. I can't imagine what that's like. I can't imagine being at a company and doing terrible work and having everybody say, this is terrible. We're losing money. And somehow I go into the meeting and come out, yep, we've been renewed for another year. Like, how did this happen for so long? Why didn't somebody at Paramount just say, we've lost money, you suck, you're fired, or something? That's normally what business people are supposed to do. They're supposed to fire people who don't make them money. Ardent, there's supposed to be a 25% rule on new Trek being different from canon. Oh boy. Oh, that's a fan conspiracy theory thing, the 25% rule. Indie Phantom, oh yeah, Megalopolis got some Razzie love. Still better than the Oscar nominees overall. I did see Joker 2. That was brutal. That deserves the most Razzies, I think. I mean, at least Megalopolis was trying something. Electronic Arts stock tanks nearly 20% after Dragon Age the Veilguard and EA Sports FC 25 failed. Another business, video games. It's like, how do you F this up? Well, what is your business? Oh, we make games that people play that are fun. Huh. And you're losing money. Yes. Why are you doing that? Well, we tried to talk politics in the game. And people enjoy your politics in the game? Oh, no, they hate it. And then I'd be like, you're fired. Why won't you fire these woke-tards? I guess they love losing money. It's the only explanation. Glenn Close, on the threat of AI in Hollywood, I don't want my image or voice to be reconstructed. Okay. And yet, you allowed it to be reconstructed here on the Hollywood Reporter. Go figure. No, I can understand. I can understand that she wants to control that. But Michael Douglas I think he already cut a deal that after he dies, they're going to like keep him in movies. But that's going to be a dead end, I think. I think a bunch of actors will do it. Eventually, the studios will realize, wait a minute, let's just hire a bunch of handsome nobodies and a bunch of beautiful idiots, pay them $20,000 for the rights to their likeness forever, and kick them to the curb and use it in the computer for as long as we want and make them do whatever we want. That's what's going to happen. You're going to have a bunch of homeless people, beautiful homeless people in movies. They'll be the biggest stars, and they'll be on the streets begging for change, and their image will be making millions. Ardent, you should, Glenn. Your eyes are crooked. Zevix, Demise, Zombie Douglas. What is Zombie Douglas? Pink Hats return to Sundance following inauguration of Donald Trump. Oh, that'll be good for movies. Yeah, nothing says I'm having a great movie experience like protesters. Uh, Shrill women protesters. Yes, everyone loves shrill women screaming about stuff they barely know anything about. Um, and the men who want to have sex with them and pretend like they care. Oh, you gotta love feminism. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. Pink hats return to Sundance following inauguration of Donald Trump. Okay. It's really relevant to movies. Sex Lives of College Girls boss insists season 3 finale wasn't meant to wrap up series. To the disappointment of all, I guess. Zombie Douglas. You mean like Frederick Douglass? Zevek's demise. Yep, typo. Daisy Ridley's Star Wars movie enlists writer George Knopfler. Godspeed to you, sir. God only knows what they're making you write. Alex Ogle is here. Evening, bigots. Despite good news from Trump's first few days and the WEF getting humiliated by Presidents Milei and Trump, I've been angry at the Southport stabber in the UK. That my movie pitch is TV documentary pitch. Bounce. Sydney Sweeney, in a bikini, analyzes the phenomenon of jiggle physics in video games, and through a series of practical experiments in the style of Mythbusters, shows what is realistic and what is not. LOL, shouldn't those hats... this is Ardent. LOL, shouldn't those hats have been turned gray by now with all the wear they've had? Too bad about George Knopfler's career. I don't know, I've never heard of him. Maybe this is a step up for him. Maybe one day he was working as a barista and the next day he's writing Star Wars. Ardent at Alex, hello, you discriminatory oddball. Lin-Manuel's Miranda's Alexander Hamilton cut off by James Austin Johnson's Trump during SNL cold open. Do not care. Big do not care. Oh, there's Amelia Perez, everybody. Aren't you excited? All the Oscars she's gonna get. Moving on to Bounding in the Comics. BioShock and BioShock Infinite director Ken Levine says games getting bigger has led to creative stagnation. You stop taking risk and people just tune out. You know what I think they need in the world of video games? And they sort of already have it, but they don't seem to take advantage of it. And really, in all mediums, you kind of need this. You need, like, the different leagues, right? Like in baseball. Like in baseball, you have the AAA league, and other sports, you have these, like, other leagues where you have professional athletes or semi-professional, and they're playing, and maybe some of them you bring them up if they're really, really good. And that's what you could do with video. So many guys are doing video games online. Like, you should be looking at these guys and saying, this guy did a really good game. Let's give him some real money and make a bigger game. Or let's do a sequel to the game. I mean, Grand Theft Auto was a sequel to a game that was much less, technical. It was a very simple game when it initially came out. So they should do something like that and develop people, like, through the ranks a little more before they just throw good money after bad. Alex Ogle at Ardent. Evening, you bizarre Devonshire Irish amalgam. Ardent, Lamal might be Shropshire, I'm not sure. Alex Ogle, what nonsense did I watch earlier of a musical about a Mexican drug gang leader wanting a sex change? Was I drunk? Or is this some fresh nightmare? No, it's a fresh nightmare. It's the Oscars. It's received the most Oscar nominations, and it's probably going to win some. Ardent, there's also a distinct lack of heart in a game made by Big just to be big. Skyrim is massive, but it is still as much of a money suck as it tries to be. Got a lot of heart in it. The passion of the creators is still present, and the fans love it still, Me, for instance. Well, it's just that I think that's the exception, not the rule. There's too many failures in video games. There's more, and it's just like comics. There's so many more failures than there are successes now. And it's really bad. I mean, and the failures are astronomical. The failures are so bad in mainstream comics, people don't even talk about them anymore. I mean, essentially, superhero comics are dead. I don't know how the comic book stores are staying open at this point unless they're diversified enough that they've gotten out of most of the new books, and I think most of them have. Um, you know, it's really bad in the comic book world. It seems to be that bad in the video game world, but you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars are spent on these games to develop them. Like, it can't possibly be that hard to, you know, shave off 30 million to a couple of small creators to get something else going. Just a little R&D, Rockstar. A little R&D. You could always put the games, the little games, inside the bigger games if they're that good. Do 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 do. Ardent at Alex Ogle, could be both. I'd start drinking if I had to watch that sort of schlock. Zevek's Demise. I don't have much time these days to play a big game. Yeah, me neither. I still have Red Dead Redemption 2 over there. I still haven't played it. I feel bad. I asked for it for, I don't know, Christmas or my birthday, and I can't bring myself to open it. I don't have the time to figure out how to ride a horse in the game. Like, there's a real learning curve in the game where you have to figure out how to do everything. And then there's also a good chance I'd play the game for 4 days and then have to go on with my life, and and then I'd forget and I couldn't go back to it. It would drive me nuts. So I haven't even started. Ardent, LOL. I used to intentionally collect failed comics. Remember Super Pro? I did. I do remember Super Pro. It was a super powered, like, professional footballer. Alex Ogle. Games getting bigger means less for players to play and more cutscenes proselytizing woke ideologies. Arden says, true, Alex. Alex Ogle, people should just get a hold of old 8-bit computers and go back to when gaming was pure. Arden, R2D2 is a vacation game. Yeah, it really is. Zevek's Demise, played Red Dead for a bit, but haven't had time to go back to it. Yeah, I have a life to lead. I've got things to do. I have to make money. Books to sell. Over at Deadline. Let's see. SWAT EP. Sean Ryan on series Season 9 prospects at CBS after 2 surprise renewals. It's all uncertain. That's weird because this is the one show that got... they shut down production twice, I think, during the fires. Indie Phantom. I have the first Red Dead Redemption. That game's great. I love that first one. It was fun, but no time to get good at that S, and I play them for maybe 2 days. Zevek's Demise. I still have my Atari 800. Oh, does it work? That's why I like Doom for games. I can just turn on Doom. I'm not vested in it. I could play it for a couple hours, and then I just say, I'm done. And then I could turn it off for 6 months, come back to it whenever. What else? What else is going on here? Stuff on Sundance. Dr. Phil says he's embedded with ICE for immigration operation in Chicago. That sounds like it's going to be a TV show or something. Or is he running for office? I can't tell. Zevek's Demise. Yep, it still works. Oh, wow. Alex Ogle at Zevek's Demise. A quality computer. Ardent, Duke Nukem, better than Doom. Zevek's Demise, I can connect to the GitHub. All right, moving on to Bleeding Fool. Wicked star Ariana Grande not handling Trump's election very well. I mean, you didn't seem to handle your PR run for Wicked very well, but okay, have a hysterical breakdown every 10 minutes. What do I care? Maybe don't make it public. Maybe, like, go to your therapist. Keep it private. You know? Collect your marbles somewhere else. Don't make it a public event. I know you're trying to get attention, but Jesus, is this the way to get attention? Does this make anybody want to see your shows and your movies when you fall to pieces over politics that you don't even halfway understand and don't seem to have any grip on other than what you heard on the news, like all the other normies who watch regular news? You sound moronic to me. Like, I get it. I have opinions about things, and I get blasted all the time. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't care. And I'm willing to take that flack because part of what I do on this channel is I just improv everything. So I know I'm going to make mistakes. That's the risk. But when you're a celebrity in a major motion picture and you're trying to promote it, there's no real upside to taking those kinds of risk. You're not impressing anybody by spouting your opinions. You're not the only celebrity who's spouted what amounts to TV opinions. So why even do it? All you do is you alienate the growing population that's way more informed than you. And I don't know, you validate the dummies who are following the same TV news. I don't know how these people function, quite frankly. Ardent, LOL, Dr. Phil with ice sounds like Seagal in the Sheriff's Louisiana. Yeah, that does sound very similar. Ariana Grande looks thin enough to need a fat boyfriend. She needs a sandwich is what she needs. Alex Ogle, did Section 31 disaster have a Trump angle or they thought might save it? I don't think so. Because it's so far removed from Star Trek, let alone Earth, I don't think they could jam it in there. But I think it was just in general, like the bad guys are good and the good guys are bad kind of thing. It's just they just basically taken Star Trek and turned it into a degenerate universe. That's what they should call it. Star Trek, the Degenerate Universe. The entire run of Kurtzman Trek. Because they seem to have completely abandoned Roddenberry's vision of a utopian future in which man explores the galaxy, as opposed to, has all these internal conflicts within itself. Alex Ogle, I enjoyed the nows that Better Man, the Robbie Williams as a chimpanzee foolishness, flopped so hard that no one even noticed. Marge Simpson to a T. Alex, I read that already. Oh, LeMay's comment got redacted. I don't know why. Here's an article, Turnabout. This time around, Hollywood stars embrace Trump inauguration. There were a few who got on the Trump train. More and more are getting on. They've seen which way the wind is blowing. And as I've said many times, here's LeMay. What is Dr. Phil going to do with ICE? He has not renewed his license. Is this going to be a cop-style TV show with ICE? I don't know. You came across the border. That's illegal. That's illegal, sir. It is. Why don't you have a seat? We'll talk about it. And the guy just doesn't speak English and just stares at him. You broke the law. You had to go back. That's my Dr. Phil. That wasn't too bad. I think if I could workshop that a little bit, I'd get the bald wig, get the Marky Mark bald wig. I think I could make it work. Yeah, I don't know. I guess he's doing his show. I can't see any other reason why he would be running around with ice. It's kind of dangerous. I mean, things could pop off. So I assume he's videotaping it for some show. But let's see if there's anything else here. Not really. All right, moving on to the wrap. Ardent, plug a nostril for a really good Dr. Phil. I don't know. Is this sound more like Dr. Phil? He's kind of got this southern accent. He's constantly asking questions. Nah, it doesn't sound like Dr. Phil to me. Christine Noem was late for DHS swearing in by J.D. Vance, so Clarence Thomas had to do it. Okay. Not sure why you're covering that, The Wrap, the media outlet for movies. Dave Franco and Alison Brie weigh in on possible Luigi Mangione role. I feel fine about it. Why are they talking about developing a movie about Luigi Mangione? The guy hasn't even been tried yet. There's not much of a story there that I could see. And what exactly are you going to do? Oh, well, it's kind of a gray area. No, I don't think it's a gray area. The guy, shot a dude in the back in cold blood in the middle of Manhattan right on videotape. So, not sure what you're trying to do with that movie. Associated Press stands by disputed Napalm Girl photo but is ready to review new information. Ardent, LOL, that was awesome. It was? LeMay, he has fangirls. I know, but I don't think enough that you can make a movie out of it. But Zevic's Demise, I want a Luigi Mansion movie. I think you meant Mangione. Ardent, has Mangione even been arraigned? I think so. I know he's been arrested. I assume they do arraignments relatively quickly after that. He's been in jail for a while. Weekend Update anchor Colin Jost, who I think he's married to Scarlett Johansson, jokes Trump wasn't properly sworn in after the Bible screamed. Ha ha ha! Oof. Alex Ogle, pitch. Star Trek degeneracy. I'm already in. All those prurient plot lines that were suggested in TOS, TNG, DS9, etc. are combined into one film, with the Starship Enterprise descending into a mobile brothel until a warp storm brings an Imperial battleship from Warhammer 40K universe with Sydney Sweeney in a tight-fitting leather outfit as captain to rain destruction on the heretics. No, I have to say no to this one, Alex, because as you know, female custodes are not a thing. Zebek's Demise, nope. Sydney Sweeney could be the princess, yes. Indie Phantom, that weekend anchor is so ass. Dennis Miller was my guy. Dennis Miller was the second best. My favorite still is Chevy. I think Chevy was the best. Dennis Miller would probably be second. Norm Macdonald would be third. Although I thought at the time Norm Macdonald was, I didn't realize he was purposely kind of wrecking the jokes a little bit. But that was his shtick. Ardent, cease this heresy. Flood watch begins in Los Angeles wildfire areas as forecasters boost projections for rain. Well, that's good. This fire still isn't out. It's still burning. Trump has already been there. They've already had, I don't know how many press conferences about it. It's still on fire. LA's still burning. I think they have it partially contained at least. Alex, she's not a custode. She's a sister of battle. Oh, okay. I guess that's legal then. Zebek's Demise, LOL. Let's see. Nothing else here at the wrap. All right. Over at Cosmic Book News. Indie Phantom. Yeah, Chevy is the best. He really was. It was his bit. I think he invented it. Superman, David Cornsweet takes to the skies in the NFL spot. I saw this with him flying. It's pretty cool looking, I'll say. More about Star Trek 31. Resident Evil reboot in the works from Barbarian filmmaker. Ugh. I'm so tired of Resident Evil. Look, it's not that good a concept. There, I said it. It's not that good a game. It's not that good a concept. Please, can we just move on from Resident Evil? It's not an IP worth saving. It's just not. Can we just make a new IP with zombies in it, please? Ardent, how much does God hate Los Angeles that first he sends fire and now he sends floods? Well, this is the seasons in Los Angeles. It's fires, floods, or fire, wind, floods, earthquake. So yeah, Suits LA trailer with Stephen Amell teases Gabriel Macht return as Harvey Specter. I don't care. Star Wars Disney Daisy Ridley movie gets another new writer. Okay. Oh, this was an interesting casting. So Ulrich Thompson as Sinestro. There's a different picture of him. He looks very much like Sinestro in it that they used on Cosmic Book News, in fact. But he still looks pretty close to the Sinestro. I think with the makeup, he'll look pretty close to him. Ardent, we only watch the Resident Evil movies because of Mila Jovovich is so damn hot. Yeah, the movies make no sense. It literally makes no sense, those movies. I just either write a story that makes sense of why the Umbrella Corporation does what it does, or just don't do it. Just give it up. It's not working. Alex Ogle, I think zombies genre needs a break for a while for something else to be invented, but that requires Hollywood to invent. Yes. There's plenty of other things you could do. Look at the oh God, I can't believe they haven't made a Half-Life movie. How have they not made a Half-Life movie? If you were going to take any video game and make a movie about it, why not take a game that has such a legendary reputation and make a movie? How popular would Half-Life be? Oh, they would flood the cinemas, the Half-Life fans. It would be enormous win. And you could still kind of do zombies. Arnett, when is the season for Rivers of Blood and Frogs? December? Alex Ogle, at Arnett, Jovovich is very much one for certain angles. She's hot so long as you keep away from her face. Alex, as the song goes, nice legs, shame about the boat race. Brutal, dude. Brutal. Zevix Demise, people watch the RE movies? I think zombie movies should be put to bed for a while. Ardent at Alex Ogle, meh, I like her face. Something about those eyes. Oh, wait, she might be that kind of crazy. Zevix Demise, finish Half-Life first, please. Alex Ogle, because, Tony, Half-Life has connotations of socialism being a bad thing. Oh, does it? Awesome. No wonder everybody likes it. I'm sure they would cut those out anyway. Over at That Park Place, Fantastic Four First Steps won't be an origin story. Director and actors make concerning remarks about vital MCU film. First off, none of these films are vital. Let's get that out of the way. Second, this movie is probably going to be another dumpster fire, only because we all know Sue Storm is going to be the boss, and she's going to be ordering the men around and emasculating everyone. So I have no hope for this movie at all, especially since they have a female Silver Surfer. So F this movie, F Pedro Pascal and his friends. Who cares? Nintendo revives mobile relic Super Mario Run gets surprise update tied to Mario Party Jamboree. So there's that, Mario fans. Oh, finally, a Sydney Sweeney update. Sydney Sweeney in talks to star in Edgar Allan Poe's adaptation, but production company website raises red flags. When is the Barbarella movie coming? That's the one with Sydney we want to see. And how much does progress cost, and how long does it take? A comparison study by LW Ghost. I don't know about that, but that's what's happening over at Disney, I guess. More money being lost. Over at Breitbart, for those who haven't heard, Colombia is run by socialists. They refused to take our planes full of criminals back. Trump was deporting the criminals back to their home countries. And then Trump announced that he was going to put a 25% tariff on all goods coming out of Colombia, a 50% tariff on the tariffs that already had 25% or more. And then he was going to, I don't know, he's going to ruin everybody's visas and a whole bunch of things. He just like was laying down the law. Within an hour, the Colombians said, ooh, sorry, and now they're taking the planes full of illegals. Ardent, which Poe is she in? I don't know. They didn't say. If I had to guess, it would be... oh, it's the Mask of the Red Death. Okay. That's right. Yeah, I don't think... See, it's not going to be great. She might be half naked in it, though. A wildly revisionist and darkly comedic take on the short story, for what that's worth. Indie Phantom. That Fantastic Four sketch is so damn bad, like woke Vertigo comics art. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of, too. Ardent. Trump slapped them hard. He really did. He absolutely did. And finally, at Breitbart, Canadian DJ deadmau5 slammed as irrelevant piece of S after attacking Trump inauguration performer DJ 3 Lau. I don't know who these guys are. They seem to be mad at each other. I don't know why you would bother. I guess you're trying to get attention. Ardent, not sure I've read that one. Gonna have to remedy that. Rap legend Trick Daddy congratulates Nelly for performing at Trump's inaugural ball. Let's see. You know, Mel Gibson, I think, directed Flight Risk. Or at least he was a producer. Let me see who directed that. Might have to see that. If Mel directed it, it's probably amazing. Yeah, he directed it. That's got to be good. Mel doesn't make bad movies. I haven't seen a bad movie yet from Mel. He's like Clint Eastwood in that vein. Alex Ogle, all the Canadians I work with have been insufferable this past week with Trump getting in. I'm kind of not surprised. People with TDS, they can't seem to just take the L and move on. I'll say that some of my older relatives, they just don't talk about it, which is the smart move. Don't engage. I didn't want to engage the TDF sufferers during the Biden admin. I'll happily engage them now. But, during the Biden admin, I didn't want to engage at all because it's just too much. It was just too much to even argue. So much was happening. Now, they'll be the ones that shut up if they're smart. I think a smart person would just be like, okay, we lost. Let me not concentrate on politics for a while and go do what I have to do. It's just weird. People are just so weird. Ardent, FFS deadmau5. What the F is wrong with you? I don't know. Zevix Demise at Alex, I bet. Ardent at Alex Ogle, how many are talking about the fighting to save the country after voting liberal? Indie Phantom, most of my country has TDS, the worst. Well, at least Trudeau is going, so there's a big plus. Zevix Demise, yeah, TDS big time here in BC. Here's the review of Flight Risk from John Nolte. Flight Risk review, dumb but almost never boring. That's a pretty good review. So there you go. And then this was another thing. Jewel, the singer, defend performing at Robert F. Kennedy's Maha Ball, apologized to gay fans. Which was okay if you feel the need to. I don't know why, but Ardent, oh gods, BC is beyond communism. Disney doubles down on diversity as Trump purges DEI from government. That should bode terrible for Disney. I wonder if I could buy Disney stock and short it. Um, and then more this week on Kamala's loss and various salty tears from the celebrities. Not too much going on. More the fire. I'm surprised there are not more headlines about the aftermath of the fire, but I think a lot of people are trying to quickly sweep that under the rug like it never happened. Zebek's demise, only Vancouver and Victoria. But yeah, that's it for this week. I mean, there's not a lot going on. And between the pandemic, the strikes, and now the fires, I don't know how Hollywood survives, staying in Southern California at least. I think they really got to think about getting out of LA. A lot of them have, but not enough. I think one of the studios, with all their money, you think they would just, I don't know, go out to Nevada and build a new studio or build a second studio that they could use, right? Build some sound stages, start to move it out there. Just, even if it didn't last that long and you eventually couldn't use it anymore, you could always sell it. It's not like Nevada real estate's going down the tubes. Ardent. Carney will likely be worse than Trudeau. Then Poilievre will either finish us off or leave us begging for the sweet release of death and annexation. Can I fill in a refugee application for Tennessee yet? Well, you should have got in during the Biden administration, Ardent. You could have already been here. Alex Ogle at Ardent. I live in a safe liberal seat for federal and NDP at provincial. They only vote that way because the town is relatively wealthy. They won't lift a finger to help, but will virtue signal. Well, you guys should probably try what we did, which is ship the illegals to their neighborhood. But in order for that to happen, is you need some red strongholds and guys who are willing to do that kind of stuff. Indie Phantom. I even got called out on a Facebook for cheering about Trudeau leaving. People are like, but the alternatives are worse. Also, the women in my feed are already loving the new potential feminist liberal. Well, Facebook is a terrible, terrible, terrible place to talk politics. Zuckerberg, if he's really making a turn, he's got his work cut out for him, because Facebook, I don't talk politics on Facebook. I don't know if I ever did. Maybe back in the day I posted a link or two, but holy F. Whenever I see somebody else in my feed post politics, it's bad. It's like left of left takes. And angry takes. So, fortunately, most people are pretty quiet right now. Once in a while I see something. But I don't engage anymore. I used to. Like in the late 90s, I would like to mix it up about politics. But these days, on the internet, it's just not worth it. People are too unreasonable about that sort of thing. There was a time on the internet when there was somewhat of a civil discussion, and it rarely devolved into screaming. Now it just right there. You're right there into the screaming. Ardent at Zebek's demise. There is a lot of hippies in the hills too, though. Indie Phantom. Yeah, Hollywood is in the Esser straight up. It really is. I don't know how they're going to survive. Television's dead. Everything's trying to go to streaming. That's bad. I don't think they're operating the streaming model very well. They just seem to be squeezing all the money out of it. And at some point, people are just going to be broke or sick of this stuff. I don't pay for a single streaming thing. I mean, you know me. I have no money. But I still have 2 streaming services I got for free. They should all be free. Put some commercials on it. I don't care. But they should all be free. Eventually, I think they will. I think they'll eventually get to that point, but it's taken forever. Alex Ogle. Oh, a good article tearing apart the WEF I'll put it here for people to read. It's very long. Elizabeth Nixon at Substack. Oh, thanks. Maybe I'll check that out later. Ardent, I had a family to worry about. Most of Biden admin, then no money to move after. Ooh, sorry about that. Yeah, now you would have to go through the legal process. That would probably take you, I don't know how many years. Or get yourself an American honey and marry her, because that's still a way to get it. Sam Rogers, hello everyone. Hi Sam. Just starting to wrap up, but welcome. Ardent, Zuck will have to do a harder purge than Elon did. Yeah, and he's not going to do it. He's the halfway guy. He's the guy who's going to just try to please everybody and end up pleasing no one, I think. Alex Ogle, hello at Sam Rogers. Hit that like button, everyone. Thank you, Alex. Ardent, low Sam. Indie Phantom, yeah, I don't do much of anything on FB. I don't even bring up Trudeau's name in my post, but I was in a celebratory mood. I hope Hollywood chokes on its own vomit. Sam Rogers, redacted. I don't know why. JEC, just spam the picture of Carney with Ghislaine Maxwell until they shut up. Indie Phantom, I pay for no streaming either. Good for you. Ardent at JEC, if that tactic would work, it would have worked on Trudeau. People just don't care when it comes to their political tribes. Anyone know any American honeys? Well, you're going to have to start working the internet, and then you have to worry about the bots. Yeah, I don't know how tough it is. I assume it's impossible to get into this country, but it's easy to get out. I've had relatives who have married Canadians, or at least one who moved to Canada. Yeah, I mean, the other way. The upshot is, I think it's probably the easiest for Canadians. It's probably more streamlined, but you could start the process now. Get yourself, I don't know, American citizenship. I mean, it takes a long time, but you could at least start it if you really want to get down here. If I had to suggest a state to move to for the most opportunity, Texas is usually the one that everybody says, but there's probably, I mean, Alaska, they'll pay you to live in Alaska. That's how much it's cold. So if you can get American citizenship and then move to Alaska, that's where all the money is. Just living there. Oh, Sam Rogers, for some reason all your messages get retracted. I don't know why. Are you saying something naughty? Yeah, I'm not sure, Ardent. I'm not sure how it works, because I never had to do that, because I was born here. I was born an American. Here you go. Sam Rogers, have you paid much attention to the JFK stuff? A bit. You know, I like to read about it and the various conspiracy theories. The one online that they show a lot of is, this is the newest one that I've heard, is that JFK was actually shot by his driver. So they show you that there's this new Zabruta. It's not the Zabruta film, but it's another angle that emerged, and it looks like he's turning. Let's see, he's driving this way. It looks like he turns around and goes pop, and like shoots him. But I don't see how that's possible in any way. It kind of looks that way, but the film's very blurry. So I don't know, but the files may still be very heavily redacted, so we may not learn much. Other than, we might learn some of it. Like, we might get more tidbits that it was put together by various factions. Like, one of the theories was that Oswald was the patsy, and that the defense contractors, in conjunction with various other factions, had JFK murdered. I think he probably was murdered, but I don't know if you're ever going to prove it. And I don't know if the files would prove anything other than we spend too much time collecting paper. So we'll see. I mean, I've been waiting for the other shoe to drop. I mean, he already cleared the way for them to be released, so I assume they're already released and people are sorting through them. But the biggest disappointment in all the revelations is MLK. MLK's reputation is really taking a beating with files that have been released on him, because they were following him everywhere, and he was having a good time, I'll say, on his travels. So he had a reputation for being a very, a man of God, and he had a very pure reputation. But apparently, behind the scenes, according to the records, he was partying his ass off, and but I don't think he's much different than the other men in that time period who were leaders, right? I certainly RFK and JFK were partying. So who the hell knows what's going to be in these files? Maybe some more stuff on Marilyn Monroe. Maybe that we might get, some evidence that she's a problem kind of dialogue, and that maybe the implication would be that they killed her to silence any potential scandal. But I'm waiting for somebody to go through the files. I'm not going through them. I'm not that big of a conspiracy buff, and I suspect though the real cool stuff has been completely obliterated. But we'll see. Ardent, I've got friends in Tennessee, Kentucky, Texas. AK is last resort. I hate the cold. Oh, okay. Well, if you got friends around, I believe you need some sort of job. I mean, that's a big plus. And you got skills, so. Zevic's Demise, listen to Johnny Horton. Okay, I'll check him out. Ardent, might be able to manage a sponsored work thing. The MLK stuff is pretty crazy, too. Gay, commie, Diddy type stuff. JFK was definitely having good times. LeMay, he was a liberal pastor by conservative Christian standards. Yeah, he was doing stuff, though. According to this files, anyway. He was banging women on the side and then having gay orgies. And he did have some communist beliefs, I'll say. I don't know if he was a full-blown communism. I think a lot of people back then toyed with the idea of communism because they didn't know much about it. I don't know if they would have actually instituted communism as the Soviets did, but it didn't help their case that they toyed with these ideas and said nice things about the commies, even behind the scenes. But that's JFK or MLK, and some of it might be to appeal to certain factions within their own party, because during this time and even now, you have communist infiltration. And so if you're a communist agent, what you're going to do, and I've talked about spycraft and I've read about this stuff, but I mean, I haven't experienced it, but what they do is they get a cutout, a guy to organize things, and they pay him money or whatever they have to do, right? And maybe he has access to a youth group or whatever, some kind of group of people. And then you push him into doing more and more commie things. Maybe he's a believer in communism, or at least partly. And you say, you fund him with the understanding, like George Soros does, you fund him with the understanding to push more and more commie things. Now, you don't tell him it's communism, or you don't tell him that you're trying to take down America, unless he's cool with that. And then you keep pushing him and tell him, and you train him how to push his various people to do more and more things that cause us problems. And then the people he recruits tend to be people who are lost because it's a cult. Communism ultimately is a religion more than it is a political ideology, because it's not logical, number one. It requires a big leap in faith in a lot of its tenets, and the leap is this: The utopia will come about through communism, but only if everybody does it. So even though we have to do terrible things to get there, once we get there, we'll all be proven right. That is a utopian vision. That is a cult-like vision. So you do everything you can to keep people in your orbit, regardless of the consequences or the people around it. Because ultimately, you're operating through a cutout, and if things go wrong, the cutout dies, and you're never connected to it. So you have many different factions like that operating in the United States. You can imagine how they can operate freely. Doesn't matter. They just, because they don't say communist, they say something else. They say the Gettysburg Youth Group of America or whatever. You just make up names that sound good, but then infiltrate and push communist ideas. And you start small. You start with socialism because socialism is the first step in the communism. Marx himself said it. So you push the socialist ideas, which don't even sound that bad. And when somebody says, oh, this is communism, you say, oh, no. This is socialism. This is democratic socialism. Oh, you're being hyperbolic. I'm not pushing communism. What are you? Oh, who's pushing communism? And then this way you slowly roll them into it without them realizing. And that's what cults do. Ardent. Oh, if you guys are interested, I'll be on with Yiz the Eunuch tomorrow night on Rumble at 6 p.m. for Discordant Dragons. Let me hunt down a link to her channel. Be right back. Oh, there it is. So Yiz the Eunuch, everybody, if you want to check that out with Ardent. 6 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. Utopia is a word meaning a place that does not exist. Democratic Socialist. Ardent, LOL, great minds separated by an internet lag. Yes. And I'm going to wrap it here. So let's think about what we learned today. You know, the whole communism thing is a real problem because we have so many people, at least in the United States, that we now have to deprogram because they've been in the cult. And, you know, and it's everything from people who are deep in the cult, like people out in places like Portland and Seattle who are in Antifa doing crazy communist things, to people who just believe, yeah, like, oh, socialism would work, but like, you know, the millionaires would never allow it here. Like, that's what we're up against, unfortunately. And I freely admit, like, back in my days as a Democrat, like, I believe some of those things too, because you hear so many people say them. You hear college professors say them, and they're supposed to be smart people, and you just look to them and go, well, he's saying it. It's got to be true. So, and some of those, I mean, you look at unions, you know, to me, unions were, when I was growing up, unions were like, oh, it's for the working man. It helps people out. Really, unions come out of communism. And, a lot of times they just don't work. They become insanely corrupt in some cases. And in other cases, like, I think the Starbucks barista union is absolutely insane and stupid. But, you know. Indie Phantom, we learned that men can win Best Actress if they remove the D. Yeah, we learned that the Oscars are completely irrelevant, I think. Ardent, tonight we learned that God definitely hates California, that Canada's west coast is a beautiful place with far too many political artards, and that Sydney Sweeney is still our favorite. Ardent says, good night, everyone. Indie Phantom, we learned communism is bad. Indie Phantom, later to all and later to you. Don't forget, I'll be at the Hamilton Center tomorrow night at 7 p.m. for my talk on how to hunt the Jersey Devil. Should be a good one. And it's in the town of Hamilton, which I love. I love Hamilton. Blueberry capital of the world, everybody. We also learned that most movies are crap. Nobody's making any money this week. And there's going to be more crap movies next week. What am I doing next week? No, next week I'm good. Next week I'm good for the stream. So, Zebek's Demise says, good night, everyone. Good night to you. I'll be back tomorrow with some more videos and all this week. Thanks